Let's be honest. Your zodiac sign isn't just a personality quiz result. It's an energetic blueprint. And in Feng Shui, that blueprint doesn't stop at your birth chart. It continues into your space, into the corners of your bedroom, the color of your curtains, and, believe it or not, the flowers you keep near your mirror or desk. Because in a world obsessed with vibes, alignment is the new luxury. And alignment starts with energy. Right now, there's a massive wave of interest across TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube where people are asking, what flower matches my sign? But most of these lists stop at surface aesthetics. Aries equals something red. Pisces equals something soft. Cute, sure, but also incomplete. What they're missing is what your room is missing, the deeper layer. Because a flower isn't just a mood, it's a frequency. It absorbs light, responds to chi, and interacts with your energy field while you sleep, think, scroll, and dream. And when chosen correctly, not for looks, but for function, it can shift your entire room's energy field. In this video, we're not just telling you what flower fits your vibe. We're helping you build a personal energy circuit that connects your birth signature with the elemental wisdom of Feng Shui. This is where astrology meets placement, where your sun sign meets the southeast corner, and where fragrance meets intention. Each of the 12 zodiac signs has an energetic style. Some crave movement, some crave calm, some need to feel seen, others need to feel safe. Your flower is the bridge between what you feel and what your space reflects. And today you'll find out exactly what flower works best for your sign. Not just to look pretty on your shelf, but to bring clarity to your thoughts, harmony to your emotions, and alignment to your next step. These aren't wishful decorations. These are energetic allies. Whether you're a Gemini who can't stop switching things around, a Capricorn quietly plotting your next promotion, or a Cancer trying to make your bedroom feel less chaotic and more healing, there's a flower for that. One that doesn't just resonate with who you are, but helps pull you into who you're becoming. And even more importantly, each flower has a perfect place in your room according to classical Feng Shui principles. That means today's video isn't just for people who love aesthetics, it's for those who want transformation. Before we dive into all 12 zodiac flower pairings and break down which corner, color, and container each bloom belongs in, I want to invite you to support this mindful mission. Like this video if your space is your sanctuary. Share it with that friend who always sends you full moon memes and reorganizes their crystals every other week. And subscribe to New Day Mindfulness, because we're building toward 2,000 subscribers, and each one of you helps us bring grounded, beautiful energy wisdom to more homes, more hearts, and more minds. Your presence isn't just a number, it's part of the energy we're co-creating. All right, deep breath, let your shoulders drop. Let your awareness arrive fully in the space around you. Because over the next few minutes, you're going to meet the flower that knows your sign better than your favorite horoscope app ever could. Let's begin. Why this matters in Feng Shui. In classical Feng Shui, flowers are never just pretty objects. They are living conductors of qi, constantly exchanging energy with their surroundings. They bloom, absorb, respond, and radiate in real time. Each flower has a distinct energy profile rooted in the 5-element theory. A red tulip pulses with fire energy, amplifying confidence and recognition. A white peony radiates metal, sharpening clarity and softening over-analysis. A lavender stalk holds the essence of water, calming overstimulated minds and deepening intuition. These aren't aesthetic categories, they're energetic truths. And when properly understood, they allow you to turn your space into a personalized energy grid tailored to your elemental needs. Now, when we overlay Western zodiac signs, those 12 archetypes that map emotional structure, decision-making patterns, and behavioral rhythms, we're not adding decoration, we're fine-tuning alignment. Every zodiac sign carries its own energetic frequency. Aries is fast, hot, and assertive, akin to firewood movement. Virgo is precise, grounded, contemplative, pure earth metal composition. Pisces is dreamy and receptive, living almost entirely in the water element. When you pair that astrological makeup with the correct flower, one that mirrors or balances your innate tendencies, you don't just decorate your room, you reinforce your own energetic integrity. And that's the real point of Feng Shui, to bring your environment into harmony with your inner blueprint so that it uplifts you rather than depletes you. This isn't about astrology dictating your fate. Your zodiac sign doesn't trap you, but it does reveal patterns, emotional patterns, motivational tendencies, even patterns of how you respond to stress or opportunity. Similarly, Feng Shui doesn't prescribe a universal fix for every space. It works by reading energy, how it flows, where it gathers, and where it gets stuck. When you bring these two systems together, zodiac awareness and spatial energy flow, you gain an extraordinary tool for self-alignment. Because the flower you choose, where you place it, and how you care for it tells your space something powerful about what you're ready to invite. It tells your subconscious mind what you're ready to become. Are you calling in more emotional peace? Then lavender in your bedroom's northeast corner can do more than any late-night journaling session. Are you working on being seen and recognized for your talents? Then a red tulip in the south, especially if you're a Leo or Aries, can magnetize attention with the exact frequency your chart naturally generates. It's not magic, it's calibration. And the real beauty of this practice is that it works with modern American living. Whether you're in a shared apartment with fluorescent lighting, a suburban home with a chaotic front hallway, or a cozy bedroom tucked under a lofted ceiling, your flower can still do its work. Because it's not about having the perfect setup, it's about making your space responsive to your energy and goals. It's about saying, this corner of my home reflects who I am, and this flower helps remind me of where I'm headed. By selecting the right bloom, you create resonance, not just decoration. And that resonance ripples through your thoughts, your focus, your relationships, even your sleep. So now that the foundation is clear, that flowers in Feng Shui amplify elemental energy, that zodiac signs reveal your emotional blueprint, and that matching the two helps you create an environment that works with you instead of against you, we're ready to explore the pairings. One flower for each sign, one unique energetic story, and placement tips to make sure each bloom does more than just sit in a vase. Let's begin with Aries, the zodiac spark, and discover which flower gives this fire sign its most supportive, energetic mirror. Number 1, Aries, red tulip. Among all zodiac signs, Aries enters the energetic conversation like a match to dry wood, fast, unapologetic, luminous. Ruled by Mars and connected with the fire element, Aries personalities tend to move with the velocity of instinct. Their gifts lie in leadership, trailblazing, and executing before hesitation has a chance to dilute the moment. But their challenges also echo this pace. Impatience, burnout, and impulsivity often leave trails of unfinished projects or shallow roots. In Feng Shui, we're not trying to change that rhythm. We're trying to support and direct it. That's where the red tulip comes in. Tulips are spring's front runners. They don't unfold slowly. They burst from stillness. They shoot skyward and bloom wide as if daring the world to blink and miss them. Their growth cycle mirrors Aries' pattern of fast ignition followed by rest. In the 5-element framework, tulips embody both fire and wood. Wood in their vertical, sprouting motion, and fire in their color, bloom showing and tendency to command attention. A red tulip is not just visually stimulating, it's energetically assertive. When placed intentionally in the south corner of a room, the sector that governs fame, visibility, and personal recognition in Feng Shui, The red tulip amplifies that Aries essence. It doesn't just echo Aries' energy, it fuels it forward. It reinforces the Aries message of see me, hear me, know me. But Feng Shui also teaches us that energy unchanneled becomes scattered. That's why placement and composition matter. For Aries, the red tulip should be arranged in odd numbers, 3, 5, or 7 stalks. Odd numbers in Feng Shui are activating. They stimulate movement, decision-making, and self-expression. Precisely what Aries excels at when balanced. An odd-numbered red tulip arrangement placed in a low, circular terracotta vase in the southern sector can act like a leadership beacon. It helps Aries not just initiate bold moves, but be recognized for them. If you're a rising content creator, entrepreneur, or performer with strong Aries energy, this flower placement doesn't just energize your space, it supports your brand. It says, here I am and I'm moving fast. This connection is not abstract. It's observable even in the lives of Aries celebrities who unconsciously align their spaces with these energetic patterns. Take Lady Gaga, born March 28th. In multiple behind-the-scenes interviews and documentaries, she's seen surrounded by floral installations heavy on red and fuchsia, particularly tulips and peonies, backstage in hotel rooms, and during the build-up to tours. While there's no public confirmation she's a Feng Shui devotee, her environment reflects an intuitive knowing. Red flowers energize her performances, strengthen her message, and pull focus in high-pressure moments. For Gaga, red tulips are more than aesthetic. They command the same boldness that fuels her creative risk-taking. The same is true for any Aries or Mars-dominant individual. In your bedroom, office, or creative workspace, a red tulip becomes more than a flower. It becomes a flare, a reminder that your urgency is sacred, and your fire is not a flaw, but a function of your gift. However, it's essential to manage the tulip's volatile life cycle. Tulips don't last long, just like Aries energy doesn't stay still. Letting the flower wilt in place unattended sends an energetic message of burnout or disregard. In Feng Shui, the state of the flower reflects the state of the person. So once the petals begin to curl or droop, refresh them. Don't extend their life past their purpose. That too is an Aries lesson. Move on when the time is right. Energetically, this cultivates healthy detachment, another area where Aries often benefits from practice. For Aries rising or moon signs, placing red tulips near the front door can also infuse the home's entry point with assertiveness and visibility. In Feng Shui, the front door is known as the mouth of Qi, where opportunity and energy enter the home. A bold red tulip arrangement here sets the tone, confident, alive, and ready to act. But be cautious not to overdo it. Too many red tulips in multiple sectors of the house can create agitation, leading to restlessness or impulsive conflict. Use it like Aries uses energy, intensely and purposefully, but only where needed. Finally, tulips can also be paired with fire-enhancing materials for further amplification. A red ribbon around the vase, a small candle burning nearby during focus hours, or even a citrine or carnelian crystal placed alongside the flower pot can sharpen intent. These enhancements aren't just pretty, they signal to your subconscious that this flower is not decoration. It's your partner in cultivating presence, performance, and praise. In a culture that often encourages people to mute their fire to fit in, the red tulip is a rebellion. It doesn't whisper, it doesn't ask for permission. And neither does Aries. When placed with intention, it doesn't just reflect your energy, it strengthens your ability to stay visible in a world that often overlooks boldness in favor of politeness. In the right position, the red tulip becomes an anchor for your natural leadership. And when your space reflects your purpose, the whole room begins to move in your favor. For Aries, That momentum isn't just beautiful, it's essential. Let the tulip guide it, then watch your goals respond. Number 2, Taurus, Garden Rose. Taurus energy is ruled by Venus, anchored in Earth, and guided by the desire for comfort, beauty, and lasting connection. Where Aries rushes forward, Taurus plants itself and waits for the world to come into bloom around it. This is the sign of the slow builder, the curator of pleasure, the one who finds heaven not in abstraction, but in texture, scent, and sensual grounding. In Feng Shui, this energy finds its botanical reflection in one of the most iconic flowers on Earth, the garden rose. But not just any rose, the type that unfolds slowly, one petal at a time, radiating softness without sacrificing structure. In classical energy mapping, this flower holds earth metal resonance. Its form is symmetrical, its scent subtle but unmistakable, and its function energetically nourishing. Garden roses mirror Taurus in more ways than their beauty. The rose is not a flower of novelty, it's a flower of commitment. Its roots dig deep, its blooms take time. Its scent doesn't announce itself in loud bursts, but lingers gently, like a presence you feel even after it's gone. For Taurus individuals, sun, moon, or rising, who thrive on emotional security, sensory stability, and aesthetic harmony, the garden rose does more than please the eye. It anchors their environment in a vibration of devotion, patience, and luxurious presence. In Feng Shui, the optimal placement for a Taurus-aligned garden rose is the southwest corner of the home or personal room. This area governs love, partnership, and relational harmony. And because Taurus energy is relational by nature, attached to stability and romance, loyalty, and sensory connection, this placement becomes not only supportive, but restorative. A garden rose here can recalibrate a space that feels emotionally thin or relationally disconnected. It restores yin energy, builds emotional soil, and invites affection without demand. For those who feel unmoored in love or are recovering from betrayal, burnout, or overexertion in relationships, a Taurus rose arrangement can feel like a gentle return to self. It holds space without asking anything back. But the details matter. In Feng Shui, color equals function. While red roses are often associated with passion, they can overheat the gentle earth chi of Taurus. Cream and soft pink tones are more appropriate. Cream roses reinforce neutrality, balance, and acceptance. They help soften Taurus's natural resistance to change and reduce energetic rigidity. Soft pinks, on the other hand, stimulate gentle love, romantic possibility, and appreciation of beauty without the fire of urgency. They're perfect for Taurus individuals learning to open slowly to new relationships or rekindling affection in long-term partnerships. The vessel holding the rose should also follow earth-metal harmony. A porcelain, ceramic, or marble vase grounds the energy with earth resonance. If you wish to amplify emotional clarity, choose a white or pale gold base, colors that introduce a hint of metal to bring refinement and structure to Earth's sometimes heavy presence. Avoid transparent or acrylic containers, which dilute the flower's frequency. Taurus needs containment, not exposure. An interesting reflection of this floral energy can be found in the home rituals of someone like Adele, a Taurus born May 5th. In interviews, she has shared that her home is filled with soft, calming scents and carefully selected floral arrangements, often featuring roses. Her music, like Taurus, is deeply rooted, emotionally rich, and unhurried. One notable interview described her morning ritual of making tea, opening curtains slowly, and arranging flowers to set the room before opening the voice. This kind of ritualistic beauty is pure Taurus Feng Shui synergy. The rose doesn't energize you into motion. It invites you to settle into what already matters. A special energy tip for Taurus: place a pair of cream or soft pink roses in the southwest corner of your bedroom, symbolizing grounded love. either the love you have or the love you are preparing to receive. Use an earthenware bowl filled with rose quartz beneath the stems to enhance emotional softness. Speak a grounding affirmation each time you water them. Something like, "I am worthy of love that grows slowly and holds me fully." In Feng Shui, speech, water, and presence work together. This ritual doesn't just create harmony in your space, it teaches your nervous system what safe, steady love feels like. And as with all floral practices, condition reflects intention. If your roses begin to droop, dry, or mold, that doesn't mean failure. It's an invitation to check in with the relational energy they reflect. Are you giving too much without replenishment? Are you holding on to a situation that's no longer blooming? In these moments, replace the flowers with care and gratitude. Thank them for the time they spent holding your emotional field. Then begin again with new water, fresh petals, and an even clearer heart. For Taurus, the garden rose is not a performance. It is a practice, a reminder that love doesn't have to arrive loudly to be real, that beauty is not fleeting when it's rooted in presence, that your desire for calm, for comfort, for slow, sacred connection is not just valid, it's vital. Let the rose teach you how to hold that truth in your home and your heart, one breath, one bloom at a time. Number 3, Gemini, Frisia Gemini. Energy is a constellation of curiosity, duality, and constant movement. Symbolized by the twins and ruled by Mercury, Gemini is a sign that thrives on communication, spontaneity, and adaptability. These are minds that process faster than most, voices that leap between topics with electric enthusiasm, and energies that are more breeze than storm, light, quick, and almost impossible to pin down. For a sign like this, the right flower isn't one that roots or slows, it's one that keeps up. That's where the Frisia comes in. Frisia is not a heavy or ornamental bloom. It's playful, fragrant, and sprightly, just like Gemini. Its curved stems, upward-pointing blossoms, and thin leaves give off airwood resonance in Feng Shui, making it an ideal energetic mirror for this mutable air sign. Wood governs upward movement, the spark of new ideas and growth through learning. Air brings clarity, swiftness, and sociability. When you blend those traits, you get the perfect bloom for a Gemini personality. Someone who needs both mental stimulation and physical motion. Someone who thrives in light-filled, conversational, and ever-shifting spaces. In Feng Shui practice, the Frisia's placement is as important as its presence. The east sector of a room or home governs health, vitality, and personal growth. It's a wood-aligned zone, meaning it supports expansion, physical, emotional, creative. For a Gemini, this is a double charge. It both aligns with their innate restlessness and grounds that movement in meaningful evolution. A fresh vase of Frisias placed in the eastern area of the home can help Gemini channel their ideas into action rather than distraction. And if your Frisia goes on your writing desk, as it often should for Mercury-ruled signs, it does more than scent the room. It energizes focus, enhances verbal fluidity, and invites synchronicity during communication tasks like writing, studying, content creation, or journaling. But there's an extra energetic trick for Geminis. Place the Frisia near a small, round mirror. In Feng Shui, mirrors are not just decorative, they are amplifiers. When used wisely, they double energy, reflect intention, and enhance Qi flow. A mirror next to your Frisia reflects the energy of the flower's airwood combination, stimulating mental clarity and creative Qi. It's like giving your thoughts a second wind or your ideas a visible dance partner. For Gemini students, artists, or professionals who need to brainstorm and ideate, this small addition can be transformative. It creates a loop of light that keeps the mind agile but not scattered. Color also matters here. While Frisias come in many shades, yellow and lavender varieties resonate best with Gemini. Yellow boosts confidence, joy, and mental clarity, qualities Gemini thrives on. Lavender invites calm, which balances Gemini's tendency to overthink or get overstimulated. If you find yourself creatively blocked or bouncing between too many ideas, lavender freesias can act like a gentle tether, helping you choose a direction without cutting off flow. Now consider this. Even in the world of celebrities, those with strong Gemini placements are often the ones reinventing themselves, playing multiple roles, or building careers on quick wit and bold communication. Think of someone like Angelina Jolie, a Gemini born June 4th. Her career spans acting, directing, humanitarian work, and even UN ambassadorship, all held together not by one long arc, but by the ability to shift forms without losing her essence. While we can't confirm whether she keeps freesias at home, her ability to adapt, multitask, and communicate across cultures is textbook Gemini freesia energy. Light on her feet, but firm in her voice. One note of caution. Like all energetic tools, the freesia requires attention. These flowers wilt fast when neglected, and their stems need clean, fresh water to avoid decay. In Feng Shui, a decaying flower in the East Zone can reflect energy blockages in your personal growth, loss of motivation, creative fatigue, or scattered attention. So if you choose freesias, treat them as energetic partners. Refresh the water every 2 days, trim the stems when needed, and remove any browning petals the moment they appear. Doing so isn't just plant care, it's chi maintenance. Geminis may also benefit from pairing freesias with a small citrine crystal or a yellow candle nearby. These additions boost mental stamina, attract positivity, and reinforce focused curiosity rather than anxious restlessness. You could also write a short affirmation, something like, "My ideas move with clarity and joy," and place it under the vase. Remember, in Feng Shui, intention shapes outcome. And for Gemini, who often lives in the realm of thought, a physical object that holds that thought brings it closer to form. Ultimately, the freesia doesn't try to ground the Gemini soul, it dances with it. It doesn't demand stillness, but offers scent and shape to the whirling mind. It brings the fleeting moment into bloom. For Geminis who want to stay inspired without spinning out, the freesia doesn't just decorate their space, it harmonizes it. And when your space feels like it speaks your language, you start to write, speak, connect, and create in ways that don't just match your energy, but elevate it. Let your freesia bloom where your thoughts take flight. Let your space become the mirror of your voice. And trust that beauty, like meaning, can come from something as small as a blossom, especially when that blossom reflects you. Number 4, Cancer, white camellia. Cancer energy runs deep, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Ruled by the moon and governed by the water element, Cancer is the guardian of home, family, and memory. But what many forget is that while Cancer appears soft on the surface, it holds an incredible inner strength. That's why in Feng Shui, when we look for a flower that honors both the tenderness and resilience of the Cancerian spirit, we turn to the white camellia. This flower carries both water and earth elements in harmony, making it a powerful anchor for anyone whose heart lives in their home. Camellias aren't dramatic. They don't call attention with bold colors or wild blooms. Instead, they unfold with intention, layered, symmetrical, and quietly luminous. The white camellia in particular embodies purity of purpose and emotional restoration. In many Eastern traditions, this flower is associated with honor and long-lasting devotion. And in the language of Feng Shui, it becomes a tool for cultivating peace, healing ancestral wounds, and nurturing emotional stability in the home. For Cancer, who often absorbs the feelings of others and can feel overwhelmed by emotional clutter, the camellia functions like a soft boundary. It keeps your space sacred without needing to harden your heart. Energetically, the best place to position a white camellia is in the center of the home, known in Feng Shui as the Tai Chi. This zone governs overall wellness and equilibrium. It represents the earth element, which nourishes and stabilizes. Cancer, though ruled by water, benefits profoundly from Earth's supportive energy, especially when emotions run high or family dynamics are complex. By placing a white camellia in the heart of the home, you're not just decorating, you're reinforcing a message. This home is a sanctuary. This is where healing happens. This is where emotions are allowed to be felt, not feared. The container matters just as much as the bloom. Choose a rounded vase, ideally ceramic or stone, rather than something angular or sharp-edged. In Feng Shui, the round shape promotes continuous flow, mirroring the moon's cycles and water's movement. For Cancer, this shape echoes the emotional rhythm of nurturing, withdrawing, and returning. The round vase becomes an emotional echo chamber. It doesn't trap feelings, but gives them space to move and settle. Camellias also have a quiet history of supporting emotional transitions. In Japanese culture, they've been used in tea ceremonies as a symbol of spiritual presence and quiet dignity. And in homes where emotional healing is an active process, whether from grief, trauma, or simple family fatigue, a camellia in the Tai Chi can do what few other plants can. Hold the silence without stagnating the space. It absorbs emotional noise and returns stillness. It's ideal for homes with children, elderly family members, or multi-generational dynamics where unspoken tensions often hang in the air. There's also something important to say about emotional boundaries here. Cancer is a sign that often overgives. The emotional body of a Cancerian can become a storage house for everyone else's feelings. This is where the camellia helps reinforce energetic sovereignty. It doesn't cut people off, but it teaches you gently to center yourself in your own emotional truth. It holds space for you to be soft and strong at the same time. And in times of transition, like moving homes, welcoming a new child, or caring for a parent, this flower can function as a stabilizing ritual. Each time you water it, speak a simple phrase, "May peace begin with me." Let's anchor this idea with a real-world reflection. Think of someone like Selena Gomez, Cancer Sun, known for her emotional transparency, protective instincts, and ongoing journey with mental wellness. In interviews, she often speaks of curating her environment to feel emotionally safe and aesthetically peaceful. While she's never directly cited Feng Shui, her home designs frequently emphasize soft neutrals, rounded objects, and layered textures, all earth-water design principles. Imagine her using a white camellia as the centerpiece on a kitchen island or low table, there not just to look beautiful, but to soften the space around it. That's the Cancerian essence. Make it beautiful, but make it emotionally functional. For those with strong Cancer placements, here's a special energetic practice. Before watering your camellia, pause and place one hand on your chest and one on the vase. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. With each exhale, release any emotional burden that doesn't belong to you. Imagine it flowing out of your body down into the roots of the flower. In Feng Shui, energy doesn't disappear, it transforms. And the camellia, when treated as a partner, can absorb and neutralize that weight. Be mindful, however, of keeping the flower healthy. In Feng Shui, dyeing or browning flowers in the Tai Chi suggest internal exhaustion or emotional depletion. If your camellia begins to fade too quickly, it may be a sign that your home needs more yin nourishment, quieter lighting, less screen exposure, or deeper rest rituals. Replace the flower lovingly. Speak gratitude into the space it held. Then begin again with presence. In a world that often celebrates only visible success, the white camellia honors invisible resilience. It teaches that gentleness is not weakness, and that emotional integrity is its own kind of strength. For Cancer, the camellia isn't just a flower, it's a companion, a quiet witness to your inner world. A reminder that your sensitivity is not a liability, but a gift that deserves protection, ritual, and bloom. When this flower lives in your home, your emotions don't have to fight for space. They're already welcome. And when you feel welcome in your own space, the whole world begins to soften in response. Let the camellia show you the way home. Number 5, Leo sunflower. Leo energy is sunlight in human form, bold, expressive, generous, and inherently radiant. Governed by the sun and aligned with the fire element in Western astrology, Leos are born to lead not through force, but through presence. When they enter a room, they change its climate. When they are seen, their energy flourishes. But when overlooked, dismissed, or confined, their inner flame dims. Not because they need attention for ego's sake, but because recognition is the soil in which their gifts grow. In Feng Shui, to support this dynamic firewood signature, there is no better floral mirror than the sunflower. The sunflower doesn't just stand tall, it orients itself toward the light. This natural behavior, called heliotropism, is an energetic echo of Leo's path in life. Leos follow visibility. They chase joy. They bloom through acknowledgement. The sunflower's broad, circular face is a direct solar symbol. It absorbs light, reflects it, and radiates warmth even in the darkest corners of a room. In Feng Shui, this makes the sunflower a powerful activator of the South sector, the fame and recognition area of your space, governed by the fire element. It's where identity finds expression, where passion becomes public, and where one's light is invited to shine unapologetically. When a Leo places sunflowers in the south sector of their home, particularly in groups of 3, a number associated with dynamic action and yang energy, it sets a powerful intention. I am ready to be seen for who I truly am. The triad form amplifies radiance and movement. And because sunflowers are not shy, their very presence in a space shifts how energy moves. Rooms with sunflower arrangements tend to feel warmer, more sociable, more alive. For Leo, individuals who feel stuck, unappreciated, or creatively blocked, this flower placement acts as an energetic mirror, gently reminding them of their innate charisma and worth. But don't underestimate the sunflower's ability to work beyond the visible. It also holds tremendous potential when placed in the southeast sector, the wealth and abundance zone. While the south governs recognition, the southeast governs what endures. When Leo energy becomes sustainable, not just spontaneous, it transforms from momentary brilliance into legacy. A group of 3 sunflowers in the southeast, especially when paired with a golden or ochre vase, fire and earth elements combined, supports long-term success, reputation, and financial flow that's aligned with personal joy. Color plays a key role in this arrangement. True yellow or golden sunflowers are ideal. Avoid pale variations. They dilute the vibrational boldness Leo needs. The base should be solid, ceramic or earthenware, and round, echoing the sun's shape and reinforcing Leo's need for grounded celebration. Add a carnelian or tiger's eye crystal at the base to amplify personal power, courage, and creative magnetism. Let's anchor this in a real-world example. Think of Jennifer Lopez, born July 24th, a textbook Leo. She has built a career that is equal parts talent and tenacity, but also one that relies on intentional visibility. Whether performing on stage, producing, or running a brand, she's mastered the art of radiating without burning out. In a behind-the-scenes feature on her dressing room rituals, a stylist once mentioned that Jennifer always requests fresh flowers, particularly bold ones like sunflowers and lilies, before major events. This isn't just for show, it's energetic choreography. The sunflower matches her frequency, vibrant, warm, commanding. And for any Leo watching, it's a model worth emulating. You don't need a concert stage. You need a corner of your home that reflects who you are when you're most alive. But there's a shadow side to Leo energy that Feng Shui can help manage. Too much fire leads to burnout, vanity, or performative living. If you place sunflowers in every corner of your home, you may unintentionally amplify overstimulation. That's why moderation and balance are key. Let the sunflower command one sector of your home, not all of them, and be mindful of its condition. A wilting sunflower in the south sector doesn't just lower visual appeal, it symbolically represents dwindling confidence or blocked recognition. Replace it quickly, and while you do, reset your intention. Speak words of affirmation aloud. Something as simple as "I allow myself to be fully seen" can re-anchor the flower's purpose. An additional tip, consider pairing your sunflower placement with sound. Leo rules the voice. Singing or speaking affirmations near the flower enhances its function. Sound in Feng Shui is a powerful activator. It wakes up stagnant qi and reminds your space of your presence. For Leos building personal brands, preparing for a performance, or simply reclaiming their light after emotional dimming, this small ritual, standing in the south with your sunflower, speaking your truth into the room, can create more impact than hours of planning. Ultimately, the sunflower doesn't ask for permission to shine. It assumes the role. And that's the lesson it offers to Leo. Your light is not conditional. Your presence is not something you earn. It's something you embody. When placed with care and intention, sunflowers become more than decoration. They become declarations. They say, this is a space where joy leads. This is a space where energy celebrates. This is a space where visibility is sacred. For Leo, life is theater, but not for performance's sake. It's because the world needs light. When you recognize that your brightness nourishes not just you, but everyone around you, the sunflower becomes your mirror. And in that reflection, you don't just bloom, you rise. Every single day, toward the light, toward your purpose, toward everything that calls you to be seen. Let the sunflower lead. Let yourself follow, and let your space become your stage. Number 6, Virgo, white peony. Virgo energy is crafted, not spilled. It's not the flash of revelation, but the devotion to refinement. Governed by Mercury, yet rooted in the earth element, Virgo operates through precision, choosing their words, their timing, even their silences with thoughtful intention. And though often misunderstood as hypercritical or perfectionistic, the Virgo spirit is one of quiet service, subtle intelligence, and sacred order. When we translate this frequency into Feng Shui floral language, no bloom reflects Virgo's spiritual grace more completely than the white peony. White peonies carry a unique earth metal resonance. They are luxurious without being gaudy, full without being loud. Their many layers open slowly, revealing depth upon depth, yet they never force their beauty on the room. Like Virgo, their elegance is discovered, not displayed. In Feng Shui, this makes the white peony a masterful ally for energy refinement. It doesn't flood the space with color or chaos. It edits. It soothes. It perfects the mood through restraint. Placed in the northeast sector of a home or room, the knowledge and self-cultivation area governed by earth, white peonies bring gentle clarity and structured wisdom. This placement supports Virgo's lifelong dedication to growth, learning, and internal order. For Virgos in transitional stages, starting new careers, refining routines, or working through mental clutter, a single white peony arrangement in the northeast helps ground decision-making while encouraging introspection without overwhelm. This isn't a flower for grand gestures. It's a whisper that organizes your mind one thought at a time. Color, as always, matters. While pink or red peonies may stimulate romantic or celebratory energy, white peonies serve a different purpose: mental purity, emotional cleansing, and energetic neutrality. They clear the noise without stripping the soul. This is critical for Virgos, who tend to take on more than they express. Their emotional landscape is often internalized, categorized, and placed in drawers marked "Deal with Later." The white peony reminds them that softness and clarity are not opposites. They are collaborators. For a modern ritual enhancement, place a white peony on a bathroom counter. In Feng Shui, the bathroom is often seen as an energy drain, a place where qi is flushed, literally and metaphorically. But with the right intention, it can become a sanctuary of purification. For Virgo, whose nervous system is often overstimulated by clutter and inefficiency, the act of grooming or bathing can become a sacred reset. A white peony in this space elevates the experience. It turns a daily habit into a calming ceremony. Pair the peony with a small citrine stone, either tucked in the vase or placed beside it. Citrine adds a soft touch of yang energy, gently energizing the earth metal signature and bringing grounded clarity to the mind. It helps Virgo focus not through effort, but through presence. This floral alignment isn't just theory, it's reflected in the lives of prominent Virgos who embody understated excellence. Take Beyoncé, born September 4th. While often known for her Leo rising charisma, it's her Virgo sun that shapes her perfectionism, discipline, and extraordinary attention to detail. In interviews, her team often cites how she reviews every cut, every lyric, every transition. Because for her, greatness is not in the drama, but in the craftsmanship. In several behind-the-scenes glimpses of her creative process, white peonies have appeared in dressing rooms or workspaces, not necessarily as symbolic statements, but as emotional mirrors. The kind of flower that doesn't speak loudly, but sets the tone. For Virgos like her, and like you, this is not just decor. It's a frequency, a reminder that what's quiet can still be powerful, and what's orderly can still hold mystery. Another placement option for white peonies is on a writing desk, especially if you're working through a personal project or learning something new. The metal aspect of the peony enhances mental sharpness and verbal precision, while the earth aspect stabilizes emotional swings that may accompany self-improvement. If you're journaling, studying, editing, or teaching, this is the floral ally that will support your process without demanding attention. It's not a cheerleader, it's a compass. There's a subtle but important rule in Feng Shui about emotional alignment. The energy you invite into your space becomes the energy that shapes your story. For Virgo, who often lives in a world of unseen labor and internal refinement, the white peony is more than a companion. It's a co-editor. It reminds you to pause, to rest between the paragraphs of your life, and to let beauty arrive without control. It allows you to be in relationship with imperfection, not to fight it, but to frame it in a way that makes it meaningful. And just as Virgo honors cycles and systems, so too should the care of your peony follow rhythm. Change the water every 2 days. Keep the leaves clean and the vase minimal. Avoid surrounding it with clutter or competing colors. In Feng Shui, the container and its environment shape the flower's function. A tidy setting honors the Virgo need for coherence. A messy one dulls the flower's energy and creates cognitive dissonance. Let the peony teach you, less is not empty, it's refined. Finally, as a meditative practice, try this. Sit with your peony in the early morning. Place both hands around the vase. Close your eyes. Breathe in and through your nose. And as you exhale, release one thought you no longer need to organize. One emotion you don't need to fix. Whisper softly, "I grow through grace, not force." This is how Virgo heals, not by achieving more, but by softening into trust. The white peony doesn't demand your brilliance. It reminds you it's already there behind you. In a world that rewards noise, the Virgo spirit finds power in stillness. The white peony is its bloom, its echo, its mirror. Together, they don't chase attention. They cultivate depth. And in doing so, they build something even rarer than praise. Peace, let the flower hold that space for you. Let your room become your ritual. Let your energy settle so your wisdom can rise. Number 7, Libra, blue hydrangea. Libra is the cosmic diplomat, the harmonizer of opposites, the curator of aesthetic balance, the one who sees beauty not just in things, but in the spaces between. Ruled by Venus and aligned with the air element in Western astrology, Libra carries a heart that seeks peace and a mind that questions everything. In Feng Shui terms, this combination of outward grace and internal indecision needs a floral companion that is both expressive and grounding, adaptable yet quietly powerful. That flower is the blue hydrangea. Hydrangeas are responsive. Their colors shift depending on the pH of the soil, a botanical metaphor for Libra's greatest gift and greatest challenge, sensitivity to their environment. Just as a Libra will adjust their tone to match the room, a hydrangea adjusts its hue to reflect its base. Blue hydrangeas in particular carry a metal-water resonance in Feng Shui. Metal refines, water reflects. Together, they support Libra's natural desire to create beauty, encourage harmony, and connect with others on an emotional, intellectual level. Placed in the southwest sector of your home, the area governed by relationships, partnership, and love, the blue hydrangea becomes an energetic stabilizer. It cools relational heat, softens communication, and nurtures the subtle, nonverbal emotional exchanges that form the bedrock of Libra's world. If you're a Libra looking to harmonize a romantic relationship, soothe tensions between roommates, or simply invite more graceful interaction into your home, a well-placed hydrangea arrangement can act as a silent mediator. But just as important is the foyer. In Feng Shui, the entrance is the mouth of Qi, the first point of energetic contact between you and your environment. A hydrangea placed here doesn't just beautify, it recalibrates. It says to everyone who enters, this is a space where grace lives, where conversations don't have to be loud to be meaningful, where energy flows in a way that calms rather than confronts. For Libra, whose nervous system is often overtaxed by conflict or overstimulation, this is not decoration, it's medicine. The color blue here is key. Blue in Feng Shui is associated with the water element, which governs flow, wisdom, and emotional communication. When paired with metal, as the hydrangea's symmetrical shape and cool tones naturally are, you get a flower that helps structure emotional nuance. For Libras, who tend to swing between extremes, indecision, over-accommodation, or avoidance, the blue hydrangea becomes a centering device. It helps anchor relational energy without freezing it. It reminds you that clarity doesn't require urgency, and that balance doesn't mean sameness. It means resonance. To amplify this effect, pair your hydrangea with a piece of rose quartz nearby. In Feng Shui, rose quartz stabilizes heart-centered energy. It softens defensiveness, opens the heart chakra, and gently reinforces the idea that mutual respect and gentle honesty are not just possible, but essential. Together, the hydrangea and rose quartz create a field of emotional grace, perfect for labor homes, therapy rooms, or creative studios where collaboration requires care. Now let's ground this with a real-world reflection. Gwyneth Paltrow, a well-known Libra, has often spoken about her home as a sacred space for harmony, wellness, and thoughtful design. In several features on her Goop brand, fresh flowers, especially soft-toned hydrangeas, make recurring appearances, whether in entranceways, baths, or dining areas. Her design aesthetic is minimalist but sensorial, curated yet fluid, exactly like a Libra space should be. Whether intentional Feng Shui or intuitive resonance, the use of hydrangeas in her environments speaks to the Libra desire for visual peace and emotional elegance. For Libra, beauty is not just the end result, it's the path to balance. But beauty alone is not enough. Libra energy is often sabotaged by overthinking and external dependency. That's why your hydrangea must be placed with intention. Never let it wilt and remain in the space. In Feng Shui, decaying flowers in the southwest zone signal relational stagnation or emotional avoidance. If your hydrangea begins to droop, it's not just a visual cue, it's an energetic one. Refresh the water, trim the stems, reset the space, or remove it altogether until you are ready to realign. A special ritual for Libra. Before placing the hydrangea in your chosen spot, sit quietly with it. Hold the vase in your hands. Take 3 slow breaths. On the inhale, feel into any tension in your relationships, romantic, familial, or even with yourself. On the exhale, release it into the flower. Whisper this intention: may my connections reflect truth and tenderness in equal measure. Every time you pass by the flower, repeat this silently. In Feng Shui, repetition builds resonance. Over time, this flower becomes your relational mirror, soft yet solid, flexible but firm in what it reflects. For Libra, harmony is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of presence. The blue hydrangea is a teacher of this principle. It doesn't scream for attention, yet you can't help but notice it. It doesn't demand change, but you feel more centered in its presence. For a sign ruled by the art of balance, what better guide than a flower that holds grace in every layered petal? Let your hydrangea help you hold space for love, for choice, for conversation that heals instead of hardens. Let it be a bridge between your head and your heart, between beauty and intention. And let your space, like your soul, bloom not because it's perfect, but because it's paying attention. That's the Libra way. That's the energy of the hydrangea. Let it live where your love begins, and let it remind you every day that beauty is not an escape, it's a doorway. Number 8, Scorpio, Dark Dahlia. Scorpio is not here to decorate a space, it's here to transform it. Governed by Pluto and Mars, aligned with water but tinged with fire, Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth, truth beneath illusion, and passion hidden beneath composure. Scorpio energy doesn't flit across the surface, it dives, and it needs a flower that mirrors its intensity, privacy, and power. That flower is the Dark Dahlia. In classical Feng Shui, dahlias aren't the most commonly referenced bloom, but for modern energetic alignment, especially when attuned to personality types, they're unmatched for Scorpios. The Dark Dahlia, often seen in deep burgundy, maroon, or even near black tones, holds a rare frequency. It balances the consuming, emotional undercurrents of water with the silent resilience of fire. Dahlias bloom late in the season, outlasting most summer flowers. They do not wilt quickly, they endure. And in that endurance, they reveal their true power, just like Scorpio. Scorpios often seek to create sacred, protective spaces in their homes. They want quiet but not silence, solitude but not loneliness. The Dark Dahlia helps hold that field. It anchors deep emotion while shielding against energetic leakage. Ideal for those who feel things intensely but do not always share their internal world. In Feng Shui, placing a Dark Dahlia in the north sector of the home, the career and life path zone, helps Scorpios harness their transformational potential in their professional or spiritual mission. The north is ruled by water, which supports Scorpio's introspective strength. But when you introduce a bloom like the dahlia, which carries fire at its core, you spark dynamic, intuitive evolution. This is where Scorpio thrives, doing deep work, unseen, that yields dramatic external impact. Alternatively, and perhaps more intimately, place a single Dark Dahlia on your private altar or meditation corner. This isn't a flower for the dining table or shared family room. It's too sacred. Scorpio energy needs to retreat to regenerate, and the dahlia supports that process. A single stem in a black vase not only aligns with the water element, but enhances psychic protection. In metaphysical practices, black absorbs negative energy. When paired with the regenerative force of the dahlia, it becomes a field of containment, not to suppress emotion, but to hold it safely until it's ready to transmute. There's an important design note here. Always keep the arrangement minimal. A single stem speaks louder for Scorpio than a bouquet. Crowded flowers dilute intention. One powerful bloom, centered with care, creates a psychic anchor. This reflects the Scorpio way, focused, intentional, unswayed by trend or approval. To amplify the protective qualities of this setup, place a small piece of obsidian or black tourmaline at the base of the vase. These stones shield against emotional absorption and psychic intrusion, something Scorpios are particularly sensitive to. In a world that often tries to read or penetrate Scorpios' private depths, this floral stone pairing becomes a spiritual firewall. It says, "This is my energy, it stays here." Let's mirror this in the world of celebrity, where many Scorpios embody this frequency in their physical and emotional spaces. Consider Drake, born October 24th, whose public image reflects Scorpio duality, emotional vulnerability paired with high levels of control and mystique. In interviews about his home, he's mentioned dark, ambient lighting, curated objects, and private studio zones where no one enters without permission. If his interior were a flower, it would be a dark dahlia, private, potent, structured for transformation, not performance. Another example is Winona Ryder, whose Scorpio sun and enigmatic presence have defined her aesthetic for decades. She once shared that she finds comfort in solitary environments filled with objects that carry personal symbolism, and she's spoken about energy sensitivity in interviews. For Scorpios like her, the dark dahlia isn't a trend, it's a mirror of power that doesn't beg to be seen but cannot be ignored. A ritual suggestion for Scorpio: when you place the dahlia in its vase, do it in silence. No music, no talking, just you and the flower. Place your hand on the stem briefly and say a single phrase: "I hold what others cannot." This isn't arrogance, it's spiritual truth. Scorpio energy has always carried the collective shadows and alchemized them into light. Let the dahlia hold your intention while you hold the world, and be honest with yourself about the health of the flower. In Feng Shui, a decaying dahlia in the North Zone may indicate burnout, spiritual depletion, or the need to retreat. Don't ignore the signs. Replace the flower when it starts to fade. Bury the old one in soil if you can, returning its transformative energy to the earth. Say thank you. Always say thank you. For Scorpios in love, consider offering a single dark dahlia as a symbolic gift. This flower doesn't say, "I want you to see me." It says, "I see you completely." And that kind of seeing, that kind of depth, is the rarest form of intimacy Scorpio can offer. In conclusion, the dark dahlia is not here for ambiance. It's here for evolution. It's here to remind you, Scorpio, that your strength lies not in how loudly you bloom, but in how deeply. It's not just a flower. It's a mirror for your emotional endurance, your psychic intuition, your power to hold transformation without breaking. Place it wisely. Tend it like a secret. Let it absorb what you cannot say. And in return, let it remind you your silence is sacred, your strength is subterranean, and your energy, when honored, becomes not just magnetic, but immortal. Number 9, Sagittarius, Protea. Sagittarius is the seeker, the teacher, the eternal wanderer of the zodiac. Governed by Jupiter and aligned with fire but supported by wood, Sagittarius burns for meaning, not just success. They crave movement, experience, wide-open possibilities. Their energy is not ornamental, it's directional. When we look through the lens of Feng Shui to find a flower that can match this sense of purpose and expansion, few choices are as symbolically and energetically aligned as the Protea. The protea is an ancient flower, one of the oldest flowering plant species on Earth. Originating from South Africa but now grown across continents, it embodies resilience, adaptation, and bold self-definition. Like Sagittarius, it doesn't just survive change, it thrives in it. Its bloom structure is unusual, even otherworldly, with spiked edges and geometric forms that seem to radiate outward from a powerful center. In energetic terms, it doesn't draw in, it projects. It asserts vision. In Feng Shui, this quality makes the protea a potent activator of future-forward energy. It's not about grounding the past, it's about pulling in possibility. For placement, the most powerful location is the southeast sector of your home or workspace, the wealth and abundance zone. In classical Feng Shui, this area is governed by wood and fed by water. But for Sagittarius, we interpret wealth not just as money, but as opportunity, growth, and purposeful direction. A protea in the southeast doesn't just call in riches, it calls in pathways. For Sagittarians building international careers, expanding creative visions, or preparing for travel or study, this flower sends a bold, energetic message. Expansion is welcome here. Another excellent placement is your travel corner. While not a traditional Bagua zone, this is a personal, energetic location, often a shelf, entryway, or workspace wall where you keep maps, flight reminders, or symbols of places you love. A protea here, especially in a terracotta or wooden vase, firewood resonance, serves as both an aesthetic focal point and a directional energy anchor. Pair it with a world map or globe, and you've effectively turned that part of your home into a launchpad for future movement. The protea doesn't require softness to be spiritual. In fact, its energetic function is to stir, not soothe. It helps activate stuck ambition, ignite big ideas, and cut through mental fog that comes from overthinking or under-traveling. For Sagittarians who felt confined by routine, by self-doubt, or by physical limitations, this flower can reignite forward motion. In homes with stale air or repetitive environments, protea's firewood charge breaks the spell. Let's tie this into a public figure whose Sagittarius essence exemplifies the protea's energy. Taylor Swift. Born December 13th, she's a quintessential Sagittarian. Restless, ambitious, constantly evolving. Her artistic journey is one of bold reinvention, risk-taking, and global expansion. Each album, each era, feels like a new map. She doesn't return to the same creative ground twice. Her recent Eras tour, with its international scope and thematic transformation, is pure protea, rooted in origin but ever unfolding. If you imagine her dressing room or writing space, a single protea bloom next to a map of her upcoming tour wouldn't be out of place. It would be a reflection of her frequency, visionary, wild-hearted, structurally bold. For everyday Sagittarius homes, use this flower intentionally. Don't tuck it into a crowded arrangement or pair it with soft, romantic florals. Proteas are best displayed solo or alongside other strong architectural flowers like birds of paradise or anthuriums. Place it in a location where you can see it often, ideally somewhere high, symbolizing aspiration. The vase should be open top, never constricting. Let the bloom stretch upward and outward. That's the message. Expansion, not containment. A symbolic tip: write your biggest current desire, a destination, a project, a vision, on a small piece of paper. Fold it and place it beneath the vase. This is a symbolic offering, activating qi beneath the flower, which acts as your energetic amplifier. In Feng Shui, intention fuels function. The protea doesn't do well with passivity. It responds to boldness. It thrives on belief in the impossible. Now, for those Sagittarians who feel overwhelmed by too many options or scattered pursuits, the protea also has a second lesson. focus. While its bloom radiates, its root structure is firm, its center is strong. It reminds the Sagittarian spirit that expansion doesn't mean fragmentation, that to go far, you must be willing to ground somewhere, to choose, to start. A wilted protea, or one that begins to sink or brown too quickly, may indicate that your vision is too scattered, or that your fire is burning without direction. When this happens, reset the intention. Remove the flower, cleanse the area, and return when you're ready to commit. This is a flower that doesn't accept half-truths. It demands clarity of path. Another advanced use: if you're planning a big launch, trip, or decision, place the protea in the southeast 9 days before the event. During that time, journal beside it once a day. Don't edit your thoughts. Let your Jupiter-guided imagination expand. At the end of 9 days, review what emerged. The protea will have amplified your truth and cleared the energetic debris that clouded it. In closing, remember, Sagittarius doesn't need permission to dream, but it does need structures that honor those dreams. The protea isn't about manifesting from comfort. It's about magnetizing from courage. Let it mirror your hunger for more meaning, more magic, more movement. Let it remind you that you are not meant to shrink to fit any space. You're meant to grow until the walls fall away. If your space reflects your future, and your future is always unfolding, then the protea is your compass. It doesn't tell you where to go, it just reminds you that going is sacred. Let that be your ritual. Let this flower stand beside your map, your mission, and your momentum. And let its bold, ancient beauty echo the voice within you that says, not here to fit in, here to explore. Number 10, Capricorn, bonsai rose or dark orchid. Capricorn is not here to play, it's here to build. Governed by Saturn, rooted in the earth element, but shaped by metal in structure and refinement, Capricorn energy is the most architecturally disciplined of the zodiac. It's the slow climb, the long game, the quiet confidence that deep roots yield tall peaks. While other signs bloom in bursts, Capricorn thrives in timelines others might abandon. Its energy is strategic, its style understated, and its devotion relentless. When it comes to choosing a flower that aligns with Capricorn's ethos, only a bloom with strength, order, and longevity will do. Enter the bonsai rose and the dark orchid. Both are not just flowers, they are structures. Bonsai roses are cultivated through patience and control. They're miniature forms shaped over time, not spontaneity. They represent Capricorn's reverence for legacy, mastery, and restraint. Dark orchids, especially Phalaenopsis or Dendrobium in deep purple or burgundy, mirror Capricorn's emotional reserve and intellectual depth. These flowers don't beg for attention. They command respect by how long they last, how cleanly they grow, and how perfectly they hold form. In Feng Shui, Capricorn's energy is most activated in the northwest sector of the home or workspace, associated with helpful people, mentorship, and legacy. It is ruled by metal, an element that reinforces discipline, structure, and clean results. Placing a dark orchid or bonsai rose in this sector isn't just a nod to career, it's a message to the universe. I am ready to rise, and I do it by design. These flowers become living reminders of commitment, of responsibility, of ambitions that unfold quietly but thoroughly. But perhaps the most potent use of these blooms is in the home office or professional workspace. A Capricorn doesn't just want career success, they want to leave something behind. The bonsai rose, with its slow-shaping nature, is the botanical embodiment of delayed gratification and focused intent. Keeping one on your desk, especially in a ceramic or stone planter, anchors your energy to your purpose. It's not flashy, it's not fast, but every day it reminds you that structure creates freedom. To energetically support this function, place a single metal coin beneath the pot. In Feng Shui, coins represent grounded wealth, earned, not given. When placed near earth-aligned flowers, they harmonize the earth-metal relationship, activating supportive energy for business growth, long-term investments, and professional mentorship. This is especially effective for Capricorns navigating transitions, new roles, leadership positions, or legacy planning. Capricorn also benefits from consistent energetic clearing, since their earth nature can sometimes harden into stubbornness or isolation. That's where the dark orchid's subtle water trace comes in. While its visual form is metal, its frequency includes quiet emotional depth. It holds space for vulnerability without collapsing into chaos. For Capricorns who struggle to express emotion in personal spaces, a single dark orchid in the bedroom, placed on a tall dresser or minimalist altar, can invite softness without sacrificing self-respect. It doesn't ask you to emote, it simply listens. Let's anchor this with a Capricorn icon, Michelle Obama. Her public persona exudes grace under pressure, dedication to long-term causes, and impeccable presentation. Core Capricorn traits. In interviews and documentaries, her personal office is shown as clean, structured, almost spare, but always intentional. One documentary moment shows her tending to a single potted plant on her windowsill. Not for decoration, for grounding, for ritual, for reconnection. If there were ever a bonsai rose on a first lady's desk, it would be hers. Because Capricorn doesn't decorate, it defines. For your own ritual, place your flower with focus. Don't scatter intention. Capricorn does best when its rituals are simple, repeatable, and tied to progress. Every Monday morning, water your plant while setting a single weekly goal. Not 5, not 10, 1. Speak it aloud. This week I take one step closer, then tend to your flower. Over time, that act becomes a contract between who you are and who you are becoming. A key caution: never let your Capricorn flower die in a place of work or wealth. In Feng Shui, a wilting flower in the northwest or office indicates energetic blockage, stalled ambition, or career fatigue. At the first sign of fading, brown petals, dry soil, energy that feels tired, replace the plant or revive it with a pruning ritual. Capricorn respects consistency, but it also respects results. Color selection matters too. For bonsai roses, go with white, cream, or soft red. Avoid pastel pinks. They carry too much water yin for Capricorn's structural needs. For orchids, choose deep purples, burgundy, or blackish hues. These connect to the root chakra and to Capricorn's sacred alignment with depth over decoration. As a final insight, remember this: Capricorn's greatest gift is building systems that outlive them. The bonsai rose and dark orchid are not just visual pleasures, they're metaphors for mastery, for endurance, for the power of refinement. They remind you that ambition without alignment becomes burnout, but ambition with ritual becomes legacy. Let your flower mark your path, not with noise, but with clarity. Let it sit where your goals gather, where your work unfolds, where your soul comes to focus. And as you watch it hold its form, remember, greatness is not a flash. It's a structure. It's a bloom you build one decision at a time, and it's waiting to unfold right where you plant it. Number 11, Aquarius, purple iris. Aquarius is the architect of the future, the rebel with a vision, the thinker who lives 3 steps ahead of the moment. Governed by Uranus and traditionally Saturn, this air sign is paradoxically both wildly unconventional and deeply principled. When it comes to energetic frequency, Aquarius blends the cool detachment of Met with the intuitive adaptability of water. They aren't motivated by emotion alone, nor by structure. They are driven by ideas, by possibility, by systems that could evolve the collective. In Feng Shui, this means that a floral pairing for Aquarius must speak not just to beauty or tradition, but to inspiration, insight, and boundary-defying elegance. The purple iris answers that call. The purple iris is not your average bloom. It is sleek, upright, and architecturally refined. With long blade-like leaves and three-pointed petals that often appear in violet or indigo tones, the iris carries a silent nobility. It doesn't shout. It doesn't crowd the space. It emerges, quiet, poised, distinctly otherworldly. This frequency aligns beautifully with the Aquarian temperament, idealistic but aloof, generous but non-conforming. Where roses bloom in sentiment and tulips in joy, the iris blooms in thought, in innovation, in forward motion. In classical Feng Shui, the north sector of your space governs career and life path, while the east represents new beginnings and family. For Aquarius, either location suits, depending on intention. The north placement encourages public contribution, long-term purpose, and alignment with destiny. The east placement, however, enhances the energy of disruption for growth, Aquarius's favorite playground. If you are stepping into a new role, launching an unconventional idea, or seeking clarity about your creative purpose, place a single purple iris in the east, ideally in a transparent glass vase. This setup supports both vision and flow, a combination critical for Aquarius minds that tend to bounce between brilliance and burnout. Metal-water energy underpins the iris's power. The metal aspect, reflected in its sword-like leaves and refined shape, channels mental clarity and structure. The water element, its cooler hues and graceful curves, introduces flow, intuition, and the ability to adapt without losing direction. This yin-yang balance is essential for Aquarius, who can often become mentally overstimulated or energetically dispersed. The iris holds space for both intellect and inner stillness. It becomes a mirror of creative discipline. One unique characteristic of the iris is its historical symbolism as a messenger. In Greek mythology, the goddess Iris was the bridge between the heavens and humanity, a deliverer of divine insight. This aligns perfectly with Aquarius's role in the zodiac, the visionary who downloads ideas from the ether and turns them into systems, structures, and solutions that uplift the collective. If you're an Aquarius who's been receiving signs, dreams, or downloads that feel too big to translate, place a purple iris on your writing desk or next to your meditation seat. This flower doesn't just decorate your space, it clarifies your channel. A practical enhancement for your iris, pair it with glass elements. In Feng Shui, glass represents the water element and magnifies the properties of any flower placed within or beside it. A clear vase, a mirror behind the flower, or even a cluster of small glass spheres nearby will enhance thought flow and imaginative clarity. You may also place a single amethyst crystal beside it to deepen intuitive focus and intellectual calm. Let's bring in a public figure who embodies Aquarian energy. Shakira, born February 2nd. She is a global humanitarian, multilingual musician, an education advocate who redefined what a Latin crossover artist could be. Her artistry is fused with purpose, and her aesthetics, especially in her more recent years, reflect a mix of futuristic design and minimalist poise. If you were to imagine a flower on her writing table while she crafts her next international campaign or album, it wouldn't be roses. It would be a single iris, elegant, direct, and pulsing with quiet revolution. For Aquarius, the challenge is often emotional isolation. Their minds can operate at such abstract levels that the world seems too slow to catch up. The purple iris helps bridge that gap. It offers a symbol of unity between thought and action, between idea and implementation. Unlike heavier earth-aligned flowers that root energy, the iris helps it move through the mind, the body, and into the world. Its presence in a space is a subtle invitation. Speak your truth, but speak it with grace. Share your vision, but shape it with structure. A ritual for Aquarius. During a new moon or any time you feel on the brink of reinvention, sit before your iris with a journal. Light a small candle behind it to cast a soft glow through the petals. Write down one idea you've been afraid to voice, then speak it out loud once, only once. Let the flower hold the vibration of that idea in the space. Repeat this ritual every time you feel your mind cluttering with too many possibilities. The iris becomes your energetic filter, removing noise and amplifying clarity. In Feng Shui, flowers are not just aesthetics, they are activators. And for Aquarius, whose life is often guided by the stars but lived among systems, the purple iris is more than a match. It becomes an ally in the journey to fuse the visionary with the practical, the personal with the collective, the imagination with the environment. Place it with precision. Let it bloom where your mind wanders most, and watch how that one clear point of intention ripples out, not with noise, but with knowing. Because for Aquarius, the path isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. And the iris knows exactly how to point you there. Quietly, elegantly, unmistakably. Number 12, Pisces lavender. Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, and it holds within it the collective dreams, sorrows, hopes, and intuition of all the signs before it. It's spiritual without needing religion, emotional without always having words, and compassionate in ways that often go unseen. Governed by Neptune and ruled by water, Pisces is gentle, psychic, and open, sometimes too open. Its greatest gift is its empathy. Its greatest vulnerability is energetic overwhelm. That's why when it comes to a Feng Shui flower, Pisces doesn't need drama or grandeur. It needs medicine. It needs protection for the soul and a vessel for its dreams. The flower that gives both is lavender. In Feng Shui, lavender is one of the few flowers that carries both water and fire energy. This duality is what makes it uniquely suited to Pisces. The water element speaks to the Pisces archetype directly: flow, emotion, depth, and surrender. But Pisces without boundaries becomes lost, adrift in the emotions of others, overwhelmed by the world's pain. Lavender's fire element, subtle but present, provides the psychic perimeter Pisces needs. It says, feel but don't absorb, dream but don't drown. Lavender's physical form is modest, thin stalks, pale purple buds, but its energetic effect is profound. It moves through a space like incense, cleansing, soothing, quieting the noise that Pisces so often feels but cannot name. For this reason, placement matters. The bedroom is ideal, as it is the most yin space in the home, a zone of rest, integration, and subconscious processing. For Pisces, whose dreams are often vivid and whose sleep can be turbulent, lavender acts as both a veil and a bridge. A veil to protect against external psychic influence. A bridge to help process inner emotion through dream work and intuition. The second best placement is a meditation corner, altar, or personal sanctuary. Whether fresh or dried, lavender placed near spiritual tools, tarot decks, crystals, journals, acts as a filter, clarifying the emotional and energetic intent of the space. Pisces needs softness, but not confusion. Lavender is the flower that brings softness with clarity, calm with containment. A special energetic tip. On the night of a new moon, when Pisces energy is at its most receptive, burn a small bundle of dried lavender in a fire-safe bowl. As the smoke rises, visualize all emotional residue from the past lunar cycle lifting out of your aura. This ritual clears the water element in your field, especially useful if you've been absorbing energy from others or have experienced emotional fatigue. Say aloud, "I release what is not mine, I restore what is." Let the lavender carry it away. Now let's bring in a Piscean icon whose life mirrors this energy beautifully. Rihanna. Born on February 20th, Rihanna is a textbook Pisces, artistic, intuitive, soulful, and occasionally elusive. But beneath the glamour and global brand is a deeply energetic person who guards her emotional field with quiet discipline. In interviews with her stylist and wellness team, it's been noted that she keeps lavender essential oil in her dressing room and travel kit, not just for the scent, but to ground her before performances. This isn't just aromatherapy, it's intentional energy work. She knows that when you're constantly surrounded by people's projections, praise, or criticism, you need something subtle but strong to bring you back to center. Lavender is that anchor for her, and for any Pisces trying to stay connected to self amid chaos. If you're a Pisces watching this and wondering how to truly integrate lavender into your space, start small. One sprig in a tiny glass jar on your nightstand is enough. This flower doesn't need quantity to work, it needs intimacy. Pisces energy is delicate. You don't want stimulation, you want resonance. Touch the flower before bed. Let the scent cue your subconscious to shift from absorbing to releasing. Pause it as a signal. Now is the time to return to yourself. If you grow lavender at home, place it near a water feature if possible. A small indoor fountain, an aquarium, or even a bowl of water changed weekly. This reinforces the water-fire balance and keeps your plant energetically in tune. Avoid pairing lavender with loud, bright flowers like sunflowers or gerbera daisies. Those blooms, while cheerful, create an energetic mismatch. Lavender needs quiet companions, white roses, pale peonies, or soft ferns. And one last note, never let dead lavender linger in your space. In Feng Shui, dried or wilting plants in a bedroom or meditation area represent unresolved grief or emotional backlog. When your lavender starts to fade, thank it for its service, then compost or burn it respectfully. The cycle of decay and renewal is part of Pisces' spiritual path. Release what no longer serves. That's how you make room for new dreams to bloom. In closing, lavender is not here to excite you. It's here to protect you, to cradle your emotional life with dignity, to give you the rest you didn't even know you needed. In a world that often feels too harsh for Pisces sensitivity, lavender becomes your quiet warrior, your nighttime priestess, your subconscious ally. It teaches you that softness isn't weakness, it's survival. And in its scent, its shape, its presence, it whispers to you, come back to your center. The world can wait. Your spirit comes first. Final, your flower is not just a mood booster or a pretty visual tucked in a corner. It's a messenger, a translator between your inner life and your physical space. In Feng Shui, every object carries a vibration, but flowers are unique. They are alive. They grow. They fade. They respond to touch, to light, to energy. And the flower you choose, the one that aligns with your zodiac sign, becomes more than a decorative decision. It becomes a mirror. It tells your room who you are, and it reminds you what kind of energy you're calling in, whether it's clarity, courage, harmony, protection, or expansion. This isn't just an astrology quiz for fun. It's an invitation to live in alignment, to pause and ask, what do I need more of in my life, and does my home reflect that? When your flower matches both your elemental makeup and your space, it creates a resonance. That's what energy alignment really is. Not perfection, but resonance. A moment when your surroundings support your spirit. A moment when beauty and meaning become the same thing. So take a breath, Which flower did you resonate with most today? Which one made you pause or think, yes, that feels like me? And maybe even more importantly, which one surprised you? Which one pulled something out of you that you hadn't fully named? You may find that the flower for your sun sign feels like home, but the one for your moon sign soothes your emotions. Or that the bloom aligned with your rising sign is the one that helps you walk into the world with grace. That's the beauty of this practice. It's flexible, personal, and intuitive. It meets you where you are. So I invite you, if this video spoke to something in you, if you feel even a little more connected to your home or yourself, let that moment continue. Drop your sign in the comments. Tell me which flower you're drawn to and where you think you'll place it. Or tell me which one you already have and how it's been shaping your space without you even realizing it. And if you know someone who's always rearranging their room based on vibes, someone who loves astrology, beauty, and energy, share this video with them. Let them find their flower, their rhythm, their subtle alignment. Before you go, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. We are growing this garden together, one flower, one sign, one intention at a time. Help us reach our next milestone of 2,000 subscribers so we can keep creating content that is both grounded and beautiful, both poetic and practical. And remember, the flower you choose isn't just about today. It's a seed of possibility, of protection, of joy. Tend to it, and it will tend to you in return. Let your space speak your truth. Let your truth bloom. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of this growing field of mindful, intentional beauty.